Ben, we've had been a great morning. Appreciate you all. You're our presenting sponsor. It's been great working with you all the last year. It's thrilled to have you on this. Been a it's fantabulous a word.
It is now.
Fabulous
it is now.
And fantastic time so far. The morning's been wonderful. So digital's a big point. There's Elizabeth at the bottom. So guys, we'll get out of here, turn it over to you, and then we'll have some Q&A at the end, okay?
See you soon.
Thanks, y'all, so much. We really appreciate it. We're super excited to be the presenting sponsor, part of the Rising Above Summit here today. You guys have done an absolutely amazing job. Yesterday's sessions, today's sessions, we are thrilled about everything that's going on here. I'm going to let Elizabeth kind of take it over, give you guys an overview of what we're going over today and make some introductions as well. But thank you so much for having us. This is definitely something we're excited about.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Speed, Swagger, Brian, Jen, God, the whole team. You guys are rock stars. So happy to be here. Our second year as the presenting sponsor. And you guys, we've got a killer agenda, killer panel. Amazing people, your industry peers when it comes to broadcast. And we're really excited for the do's and don'ts of digital transformation. I've got a panelist right here. We're keeping this, comfy cozy. So our agenda for today, quick overview on who AdCelerant is, how we support our broadcast partners in the digital space. Of course, we will introduce our amazing and esteemed panel. You all know them, you love them, they're your friends, they're your colleagues. We'll get into the discussion, focusing on, a couple key elements, 3 specifically on the do's. What's going to be incredibly important to note when you're talking about elevating your digital or just starting your digital transformation for your station. We'll then look at the other side of the coin and focus on some of those don'ts, right? And reminders. And we'll end, of course, with Q&A and closing. We want to hopefully make this as informative and conversational as possible. So I know Rising Above has some text for questions. I think you can also put in your questions here as well. We want to hear from you. So please be sure you're using those tools and let's get into it. So as a reminder too, I'm Elizabeth Bernberg, Senior Director of Business Development here at AdCelerant. And AdCelerant is a technology and a digital marketing company. We are focused on making the complexities of the digital space simple and easy and efficient. And that is the core of really what we do all day, every day. We're based in the beautiful city of Denver, Colorado. We're about 200 team members strong, all internal. We don't outsource. The people who you talk to are my friends and colleagues here. Pretty darn awesome. And we've built out an amazing technology suite that oversees the entire digital sales process. So really working hand in hand with our partners, our broadcasters, to make the digital sales process as seamless and streamlined as possible by leaning into our proprietary tech. And of course, we're working with tons of amazing partners, radio, television, in a white labeled capacity. And we offer the full suite, as you see here, of capabilities. And some of you might be going, well, shoot, I'm selling those right now. Or gosh, maybe I need to start thinking about including some of these solutions in our product portfolio. We're going to be getting into kind of how you end up creating that sizzle with your team. The AdCelerant platform really focuses on this amazing trifecta here, the sales enablement piece, the execution, campaign management, and of course, the reporting. And technology doesn't mean anything unless it's powered by people. People is really what brings this all together. That's the flame, and that's at the heart of everything we do. So AdCelerant in a nutshell, thank you again. And let's get into this panel. I love quotes. Ben and I are hosting a ton of biz dev webinars for our partners, for prospective partners, and it's a great way to set the tone for the discussion at hand. And I thought this, especially when we talk about digital transformation, this really resonated. Don't be fooled by some of the digital transformation buzz out there. Digital transformation is a business discipline or company philosophy, not a project. So remember that it is a discipline, not a project. Okay. Questions to think about. And as we start, really hearing from our panelists, y'all are going to just love what they have to share with you. We met earlier on last week, and they're just phenomenal team members. But these are things you should start thinking about in terms of context to today's discussion. So where is your company or your station in terms of your digital transformation? Are you just starting? Are you starting to kind of play around with the idea of really embarking on this, this new frontier for your station, for your community? Or are you fully in it, right? Are you looking to elevate your capabilities, get a little bit savvier, create more efficiencies? Also, let's look at what the current company culture is like when it comes to digital. How does your team really approach digital? What's the mindset that y'all have? How does your team approach digital sales? And this is really when it comes to management and sellers. Is it seen as a complementary tactic that goes along with broadcast? Is it seen as the ugly stepchild, gosh, over there, and we don't want to talk about it? So what is really the rhetoric behind digital in your station? And then think about some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now when it comes to digital, or even simply revenue growth, right? We are all in a phase of, going after every single dollar in the marketplace because it's so compartmentalized. With almost 76 cents of every dollar going to digital, you got to be sure you're playing in this space. So what are some of those challenges? And then what are some of the biggest opportunities? All right.
I think that's one of the best transitions we could have here because, Elizabeth, you and I are obviously on the Accelerant side of the fence, and we want you guys to see, who we're working with, who we're talking to, people who have the experience of being exactly in the seats that you are today. I think it's also really important to understand the issues, the pain points, the things that kind of grind your gears or keep you up at night. They're not unique. A lot of people are dealing with the exact same things. And, if we can fix it with somebody, we can fix it with you, or we can help provide relief in certain areas, whether that's a Band-Aid or a full solution for you. We're willing to make sure that the time's invested into, fixing these things. But, I think that's a great time to start introducing some of our panelists for today for the conversation. A few of these people we've been working with for a long time, a few of them for a little while, but nonetheless, industry leaders, industry experts. We are so thrilled to have each of them today. I'm going to start off with Kelly, then we'll hand it off to Brian and then Joe. Give us a little bit about your background and where you are today and how you got there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Freeler. I'm thrilled to be here. This type of environment is fun where we can all exchange ideas to and learn from each other. So happy to try and share some of the things that we've learned along the way in our growth plan and kind of go from there. The storytelling will be fun with Brian and Joe as well. So I work for Layton. We just rebranded to Layton Media, and I'm responsible for driving digital revenue growth on both owned and operated and our digital agency, Layton Engage. So I oversee sort of that digital transformation for the company for both parts of it. And that quote, Elizabeth, was a fantastic transition to set the stage for the conversation of how do you go about that and what are the starting points? And hopefully, I'm just excited to be able to share some of the things that we're maybe still trying to figure out and still learning as we kind of keep growing as well as a company.
Awesome. Ben, you're oh, there you are.
We'll hand it off to Brian. Thanks a lot, Kelly. I love that. I love the dialogue about the quote that Elizabeth shared a little bit ago. We really have to embrace these types of things. Brian, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Brian Tyndall. I'm here in Springfield, Missouri, where if you don't like the weather, just wait a day, it'll change. Ice storm Monday, 60 degrees is next week, so we'll see what happens. But no, I've been here at Midwest Family for 21 years, and I think the term expert just applies for me that we tried a lot of stuff that didn't work along the way. And if I can help give some of that experience to people to skip some of those hardships. But Midwest Family, we're in 8 different markets, radio broadcasting primarily, but like a lot of you, we made the transformation to add digital to our portfolio a few years ago. And it's just incredible to see how much things have changed in just a really short period of time. So excited to add what I can to the conversation.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that. Joe, I want to hand it off to you. Please give us a little bit about your background, what you're doing today.
Well, I am Joe Schwartz. I've owned radio stations for many years in small and medium markets. I've worked in larger markets as well. So I'm a seasoned veteran in this business. And where I come down on this is real simple. The business is not what it was. It's not what it was when I got in it. This business, if you're in the media business and you're not doing a lot of digital sales along with your radio sales, then I'm sorry, you're not in the business. And I think that when you have companies like Adcelerant that are the pros that can help us propose business, close it, et cetera, and go from there, those are the companies we should be working with. So my mission, I'm on a mission. I believe every broadcast concern has to be in the digital business, because if you're not in the media business anymore. It's that simple. There are no choices anymore.
That's amazing.
No.
I mean, I can't think there's any other reason that you guys rebranded into Latent Media, right, Kelly? It's like we think about this transformation. We're not just a broadcast company anymore. We're a media company. You guys can support all these different things. So, Elizabeth, why don't we take it away with talking about the do's of digital transformations, things that you guys can focus on, right? Things that we see as tried and true successes that we can rinse, repeat, and start with everybody else.
Absolutely. So in our discussion last week with the panel, we were kicking around these, questions and thoughts and kind of where do we start, right? So I love that this was, really resonated with everyone. Start with internal culture and the dynamic of the team. How are we really approaching digital? So I want to call out Mr. Tyndall, Brian here. He shared some really interesting ways on how Midwest and really legacy sellers were approaching the digital products, the digital capabilities by really tapping into their resources. And it was a change in kind of the way they were thinking about digital. Instead of being a foe, right, this was more of a time to embrace. So Brian, give us a little bit of insight in how your team really approached that from a cultural standpoint, the digital transformation.
Well, I think like Ben just said, it's all about rethinking who you are, how you market yourself, how you brand yourself. That's what we rebranded to Midwest Family Marketing here in the market, because it is a full funnel approach. And we had, like a lot of the folks on this call, some of the sellers who've been in the business 10, 20, 30 plus years crossed their arms and said, I'm radio salesperson and that's what I do. And it's not about thinking you're getting rid of your broadcasting. It's how do we make this a full funnel approach? How do we add to this without taking away? And so, yeah, one of the folks that this gentleman here, it's been on our sales team 30 years. He actually retired 7 years ago, but He just keeps coming to work. But anyway, he was one that really led the charge. He has access to almost every business in town and just went in and sat down and said, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to look at this. He didn't have to learn all of the, the minutia of all the tactics and exactly how everything works. We've got a strategist for that. We've got people that can help with that. But just opening those doors and just having that growth mindset, that was a game changer. Now he's killing it, selling digital and radio together.
I mean, boom. Open mindset, growth mindset. I think you hit the nail on the head. Change is scary, period. Right. But, that's a great example of just, legacy sellers who also lean into their resources and say, I've got the relationships and I know my clients need to get involved and I'm going to help be the steward to get them to where they need to be and be the captain. Right. And steer them in the right direction. So Kelly, anything else to add in terms of, what you've seen at Latent in terms of that cultural shift and really how you guys are approaching, even with your legacy sellers? Hey, we've got to be doing this all day, every day.
Similar to Brian, we affectionately have, we've got champions and bulldozers that are kind of plowing that way through to just opening those doors and creating that opportunity. And I think you've got to lean into that, especially depending on, where you're at. But I think to piggyback off of that too, another piece of it has to be helping the entire team understand the value and the impact. And part of that is giving them the lens through which to view how are you solving problems in your communities for these advertisers that are trying to navigate complexity. You guys talked about making the complex simple. The reality is we all have this incredible portfolio of options to be able to build a strategic plan. Having somebody that owns a business and is managing humans and managing their own P&L also try to figure all this stuff out, they're overwhelmed by it. And they're trying to run a business that is not marketing. So I think making sure that at every layer of your organization, helping them understand too, that the reason for this as a company, why there's value is you're solving for a real problem that's out there right now. You're really doubling down on doing what makes media companies really awesome, which is connecting with our communities, elevating our businesses, giving them that voice in our communities. So now we can do that in kind of a more robust way. We have a greater ability to help them with a larger part of their overall plan. So I think that's another piece that really helps with that culture and that team dynamic is helping everybody be on the same page. We leaned into some, I'm a nerd kind of, so we leaned into some Borrell data to help support that, of helping them understand what is it that your advertisers are seeking. And so then what are we going to build to solve for that? Just making sure everyone's on the same page with what the mission is.
Absolutely. And I feel like Joe too, from owning stations and managing, the same boat too. Would you agree kind of that's, the place to start?
Well, I think yeah, I do. I totally agree with what you both said, but I think where it starts is at the top. And what I mean by that is a group, a cluster, whatever media organization you're on the market, you have to look at it and say, I am going to be the media experts in my market, period. And I am going to call on clients and I'm going to show them, help them do what is right for them so they can sell more widgets. That's my job. And it doesn't matter what medium they use, even if they don't use radio. Well, I have to be prepared for that. If using SEO or using display is going to get it done versus using radio and there's no budget for it, that's fine. Then that's what we have to do. We are in business to help our clients. That is the most important thing. If we do not move widgets for them, we're out of business. But the most important thing, and I think it's very important, and I think changing latent broadcast to latent media says it all at the top. It's a top commitment that we are going to be all encompassing. We're going to have the ability to do everything for a client in advertising and marketing. And that has to be where you're coming from. If you're not, then you're doing a disservice to your client. Honestly, you really are. If you're just in there selling radio and that's it, you're selling 10% of the business.
Yeah.
What about the other 90%?
Absolutely.
I'm a money guy. I'm greedy. I'd rather go after the 90 than the 10. That's me, but.
No, I love it. It's, that, and that's the mindset, the growth mindset, that setting the stage, starting at the top, and knowing how you're going to be presenting yourself in your community, helping those local advertisers take stuff off of their plates. They've got enough, 100% a part of this digital transformation, which, we're able to segue perfectly into the next question. Imagine that, right? This, I think, is really important for everyone to understand. I mean, we talk about the marketplace, what's happening, competitors, agencies are probably popping up, boutique agencies. Someone's kid has opened an agency in the basement from COVID, and now they're running media campaigns. It's becoming competitive out there, not just in our traditional media, the radio, television, newspaper, magazines, and maybe a few agencies and outdoor. It's full tilt out there. So the question here is, how are you guys really approaching, that understanding of what's happening in the marketplace, and how does that fuel the conversation you're having with your team and, of course, with your advertisers about digital? What's happening with share? What's happening to retaining these clients? I'm going to kick it back to Kelly, actually, as I'd love for you to touch on, being in some of your markets that have tough competition, right? You're dealing with a lot out there. How are you separating yourself as being, latent media, and you've got to be, the go-to that they connect with?
I think big part of it too is for a little while there's sometimes that feeling of we're behind, we got to catch up. When you see the numbers, you see Burrell data saying 28% on average of your revenue derived from digital, and if you're not there yet, you're going, oh my gosh, how do I do this faster? How do I scale up? How do I catch up? How do I do that? And I feel like the part that we really doubled down on was how do we create an impact? And how do we, instead of trying to catch up, how do we do this in an impactful and a meaningful way? And for us, a lot of that was about understanding, okay, we've got big players in our markets that have economies of scale that we might not. They have maybe a different level of buying power or different resources available. So we really doubled down on making sure that we had solid partnerships in place to help support us as we grew, which was super important in helping us navigate. That was really essential. And part of it too is we really had to spend a lot of time understanding who our core customers are that we could best serve and what that looked like. And I think the more time that we spent, we had to build every part of that. Our sales process, our service standards, they're constantly evolving, and it's constant conversations that we're having as we learn more and as it continues to change. As there are more self-serve platforms, is that something our clients want? Do they want to be taught how to use AI instead of having us write blogs for them now? Those are conversations that I think it's creating. It's kind of goes back to that culture piece too, is making sure that there's constant conversation around what's happening to make sure that we're sort of moving with those different dynamics and that we're aware of the places that we can make an impact, and knowing that to make an impact, we don't have to be the person that serves every single business. There's a lot of them available to us. So which ones can we serve really, really well, and how are we going to build our team around identifying and understanding that?
Absolutely. And I think that from what you said in terms of, making the impact, that we can even break that big rock down even further as, making an impact with one advertiser at a time, and looking at, maybe it's the full funnel, of capabilities, that customer journey. Brian, you had actually touched on that in our conversation, and, from the market data that y'all have and what's happening in your markets, that those conversations with the advertisers were starting to be all encompassing of everything in that marketing wheel, not just specific to broadcast. Would you mind expanding on that, and how Midwest is really, tackling that customer journey conversation as it relates to the evolving marketplace?
For sure. That was the biggest game changer for us, is changing the conversation to encompass the entire customer value journey. And by that, I mean, where, what do they want to achieve? Radio, TV, great awareness vehicles. But then where do all the other products fall into place? And so really it comes into getting a diagnosis from the client. What do you want to achieve? The analogy I use sometimes is like, if you went into the doctor and he just started rattling off medicines and said, okay, which one of those do you want? You don't want your doctor to do that. And I think that's something where we got to look at, what do you want to achieve? And then, okay, radio for awareness, and maybe targeted display, SEO, different. How can these all work together? Because when you talk about what's happening in the marketplace, the Burrell research said, most businesses now, they want to just get this all taken care of, all their marketing through one or two partners. And the analogy that I look at sometimes as well is, hopefully most of you can remember back in the day where if you needed hardware, you had to go to the hardware store. You needed groceries, you went to the grocery store. You needed auto things for your car, you went to the auto store. Now you go to one place. People would freak out if they had to drive all over town to get the things that you just go get at your Walmart or Target or whatever that's on every corner. So we've got to be that for our customers. We've got to be the people that they can trust, and we can take care of it all together. And by doing that too, we consolidate the message. We make sure that whatever platform they're on, they've got the same positioning statement, same logo, same music. Everything works together to help build their business.
I think, and real quick, you guys, to interject, that's what data is telling us. Advertisers want less media partners, marketing partners to work with, right? You guys are looking for less media partners and vendors to work with as well. It makes it easier for you. I mean, if you think about it, like 10-minute trainer, that's what do? They pull together training for all these different facets of business. They're bringing it all into one place for you, right? So it's not like you're just getting digital training, you're just getting sales training. It's training for HR, it's training for everything else. It's, 10-minute trainer, you have P1 learning. They have all these things in one. We're all reaching for the same objectives here. We can accomplish that. But, when you're focused on your advertisers, understand that they want to get it all from one person. And if it's not from you, it's probably going to be from someone else. And I think, being the one is so important here. So be that media specialist, be that marketing consultant. Don't just be an ad taker. Don't just, be a radio or TV seller. Be the one.
One thing to add to that, Ben, and you're bringing up a great point, but there are a lot of reps and a lot of station owners, station general managers that will tell me, well, my clients don't do digital. How many times have we heard that? My clients don't. I'll bet you money they're doing digital. I'll bet you your salary they're doing digital. They might not know it. They might be paying Google a monthly fee like they used to pay the Yellow Pages. Remember the old days when that was advertising? I think the first step is find out what they're doing, okay, before we could be that one source. I can't believe how many people walk out with their little radio budget. Meanwhile, somebody's doing some search. They have a display ad going somewhere. They don't even realize that it's different. If we could take that, as Ben said, put it all under one roof, make it easy for the advertiser, boom, we're a real value then. But the point I'm making is everybody is doing digital. Don't believe them. Buyers are liars. They're lying to you. They might not know it, but they're doing it.
Be the one. And I think it also rings true too for the stations, for y'all, for the radio side, the television side. While you want to be that one, and the advertisers need one. They're stressed out enough for doing what they need to do for their business. For digital transformation to be efficient and effective too, it's also ideal to have a core partnership, right? Someone that's going to be able to understand soup to nuts, what's happening, be able to support your team from A to Z. So it's all cohesive and together. So you're also not piecemealing your efforts internally. So there's that cohesion, and you're able to then continue to bring that cohesion to your advertisers. So stop the piecemeal. Right? Be the one. Look at that entire customer journey. Make that impact for your advertiser and ask those open-ended questions because they are doing it. I love what Joe said, whether they know it or not, a cousin's doing it, an agency, they're absolutely doing it. So 3 things here, the don'ts. Oh, excuse me. I went too fast. So our 3 do's, they were, of course, understanding your internal culture, your dynamic. And I loved what y'all said in terms of it comes from the top down, right? You've got to have that mission, that energy from the top down. Number 2, understanding the marketplace. How are we going to, combat the competition, right? How are we going to help our advertisers make that impact that they need and know that they can lean on us, their trusted broadcasters, their trusted media consultants to deliver? How are we supporting them reach every single one of their customers in that customer sales journey? Be the support that your advertisers need. Be the service agents that they need to support all of those marketing efforts. And then number 3, stop the piecemeal. Remember, stop the insanity. Remember those commercials? Stop the piecemeal. Make it easy for your advertisers. All right, let's get to the don'ts. And the don'ts are interesting here because, of course, they're really talking about what you should do, right? So this is really just a great way for us to focus on, reminders, best practices. But I want to, connecting the dots, I want to actually kick this to Brian to really start us off in terms of, product selling. I think a lot of us get in the motion of wanting to sell products to our advertisers as opposed to solutions. You had talked about the customer journey and even a legacy rep that's having some great success. how are they making that happening? What is the secret sizzle that Midwest is doing when we talk about, not product selling?
Well, and I think that going back to the don't, that was, if I could go back in time, this was, one of the things, like a lot of folks 5-6 years ago, we started learning about these. We started having the ability to sell these different digital products, digital tactics. And we got super excited, and we didn't know what any of them really did or how they worked, but we were we had more stuff to sell. So we literally did this. We literally put together like a sell sheet proposal that all it did was list off products, and went around to all of our customers and started saying, look, we can sell you all this now. And didn't have, the thing that we overlooked was, what does it do for you? Why would you want this? What do you want to achieve? And I think that's where our focus is now, because another big don't feel like you're just into sell them a digital product and make it an either or with radio. Like, my customer's budget is 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. So now he's going to do less in radio and half in digital. My point is, this is a way to augment your budget, to add to your budget. This is a way to also sell more of your radio, TV. And, I can't tell you how many times we went in, somebody said, I want to talk to you guys because you can do OTT or you can do SEO. And when we get there and we start uncovering what do they want to achieve, we learn, hey, you need some awareness. Let's talk to you about how you can achieve that. And it opens way more doors than it closes, but you've got to have the open mindset to talk about the whole customer value journey with them.
I think piggybacking off of what Brian just said too, I think there's the old kind of cliche of the facts tell and stories sell. And I think when you lead with tactics and you go with that approach, there's a certain number of clients that are going to be interested in sort of the bright, shiny object of streaming TV. I want to be on streaming TV. I want to be on video. Everybody's consuming video. There's a certain level of attraction to that. But at their core, if we really spend time trying to understand what these businesses need, they want to understand that they're making an impact on moving their business toward their business goals. And so we have a greater chance of having long-term partnerships and having more influence on their entire strategy and on a bigger part of their budget if we can connect those dots. If we help them understand we're picking these things because it's important on your customer's journey to be talking to them. And here's how we're going to use them to talk to your customers, to build your brand, to make sure that you're seen while they're in these different phases of interest and consideration and as they're moving through their own journey. So I think when we can give them points to connect to their own business rather than just talking to them about marketing concepts and marketing tactics, you shift the game in an entirely different way that's really, really important, because you give them something to connect to. They are comfortable and confident and they understand their business. If we can figure out how to align what we're saying to that, you're going to make way more of an impact, and you're going to be able to develop that trust. You're going to be able to have a different type of conversation on the other side of it about what the tactics are doing for their business. It's not about impressions and clicks. Everybody knows that doesn't sell anything. So it's instead kind of shifting that conversation to something that is more meaningful to them and that they can latch on to.
I love it. Joe, anything else?
Well,
to add to
it's
that?
the old radio features versus benefits, basically, is what we're saying. When you walked into a client and said, hey, we're 50,000 watts and who cares? But my 50,000 watts can bring in X amount of people that can buy this type of product from you. That's what's important. It's the same thing here. What's important is, yes, okay, here's the product, but this is what the product does for you. And that's key.
I pushed the click button too early, so you all saw the second one coming through. This, I think, is super important. And I was a former digital sales manager myself, and you get so excited about products and, partnerships, and there's so many things happening. Don't overwhelm the team. This is for many of y'all, this could be a new horizon, a new frontier, a lot of new jargon and language, and even ways to price these things. That can be incredibly, that can just dampen their excitement, right? So with that, I know Brian and everyone has been able to really have to work at doing that crawl, walk, run approach with your team. Kelly, tell us too, when you're going from Leighton Broadcasting, Leighton Engage, Leighton Media, you've had that transition. How do you keep the team in check to make sure their eye is on the prize, but they're not, running around going crazy?
I think this is a constant works in progress too. And I think part of it is a lot of this just has to be knowing your own teams really, really well and spending that time to make sure you understand what do they need to create that simplicity to have a focused kind of objective of what's the way that they can help move this forward. And I think that really just depends on what structure you choose to go with for your organization. With our teams too, a lot of it is we're focused on creating appointments and we have strategists that are helping sellers. So how do we help them with entry points, and how do we help them with just entry points to the conversation of how these things work together? And I think some of that too is leaning on partners to help as well, especially as you're getting started and growing. Instead of trying to figure all of it out on your own, it's okay to trust. Like that's a way to be able to scale maybe a little bit faster and with greater stability too, is to lean into partnerships to help you with that so that you don't feel like you've got to be the expert and figure all this out. You're going to overwhelm yourself too. So I think it's kind of figuring that out. Who are going to be your experts? How are you going to build that structure within your team to make sure that people have clarity on what their role is and what that success looks like for them individually at each layer?
Joe?
The digital world is a moving target, as we all know, and there are things changing every single day. And I'm sitting here in the middle of Adcelerant, and there are a bunch of people out here running around, figuring out SEO, figuring out what's new in programmatic. This is what they live, eat, and breathe. We don't. Okay, that's not what we do, guys. And that's not what we want our local reps to do. Okay, what we really need our local reps to focus on more than anything is their client, building the relationship with the client, and bringing the client the right type of products they need. And they have the ability now, working with companies like Adcelerant, who are the pros. Let the pros do it, because, in the old days when we first started in this business, it was radio, TV, and newspaper. That's all you had to learn. Now, how many digital products are there? Ben, how many products are there out there?
Oh.
Elizabeth.
Too many to count.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how do you know all this stuff?
Yeah.
You just don't. So you have to focus from a station or a company standpoint. You have to have the right affiliation with the right digital agency. And for your local people, they have to have the confidence that they can walk in and deliver whatever they need to deliver for their client because they have the right affiliations.
Absolutely. And with that too, the resources, and hopefully those resources are, helping with training. Brian, you had actually touched on that earlier, like that's also a component too. You lean into your team and to your providers and being able to have the information to arm your sellers with what they need. But even that training can be, there's a lot to digest there. Anything else to add on your side, Brian, in terms of even your approach to the training side of it?
Well, for sure. And that all ties together. And that's the one thing I was going to say is you do have to have specialists on your team, specialists here that can help. And the first thing a lot of broadcasters think is, great, I got to add another payroll or I got to add this, but it starts in phases as to the people. And like for us, we had 13 salespeople and now we have 8 and some specialists. But the big reason why we can do this is, because you have a partner like Adcelerant. And this isn't a paid endorsement, by the way. This is just personal experience. We've got in-house strategists and people that can help. But then we have, what I'd call the heavy lifting, and we really need to bring in other folks to get you guys on the phone or on a Zoom meeting with a client. And then along with that, like you said, give the training out in bite spoonful pieces. We do a training every Friday morning. We go over and we do a quick touch on something, digital and how it works, how we can put that together. AdSeller gets with us once a month. We do a 1-hour training with the team on something, but we don't expect everybody to be an expert overnight, but over time, just more and more and more, they get to know more. And then, yeah, we do have the experts both in-house and at Celerant that we can call on when we need them.
I love it. And I know we've got a few more, and Brian, you're absolutely right. It's still that crawl, walk, run approach too. It's, making digestible strides, or smaller strides to get to the big win where everybody's not rushed to learn it or rushed to sell it, but it's more methodical. So everyone's feeling empowered and confident. So when they have that conversation with the client, that's when, the magic happens. And I know we're probably coming up on time. Speed and Mr. Swagger over there, let us know where we are. We've got one last don't and then a quick wrap up, and then we'd love to address questions that y'all might have. Last element on the don't, and this is more on the, admin side, right? But it is so incredibly important, especially with new initiatives, right?
Okay.
Don't forget to track. Do not forget to track everything. When it comes to, if you're launching the digital side and you're trying to understand momentum and you're looking at data and the numbers to help make really, data-driven decisions, right? You've got to track everything from proposals to the trainings to the product. If you have a CRM, great. If it's just a spreadsheet, that's fine. But make sure that the team is also not forgetting this, right? Tracking and keeping everyone on their toes with digital, with your own book of business. You've got to make sure it's accessible and you're updating it constantly. So that's my friendly PSA.
I like what Brian was saying earlier. Every Friday morning, it's not like they're taking 2 hours out of every Friday morning. You might have a 30-minute meeting just to go over a quick little excerpt of like this product or feature, maybe a case study, something like that. You don't have to do anything crazy, right? And then the trackability here that Elizabeth is talking about, it's perfect, but you have to track it, you have to measure it, and you need to be able to make sure that you are, working towards that ultimate goal. I think it was Allen Iverson, those of you who are big in the NBA, but it's just practice, man. Right? It's just practice. But there's a reason that these guys become professional athletes. It's because they practice even a little bit every single day. Whether you're a basketball player, football player, you go bowling, whatever it is, the reason they're so good at it is because they do it day in and day out. But it doesn't take them hours upon hours. It's, minutes sometimes.
Hey guys, great job. I don't want to cut you off. We do have several questions.
Got some questions for you.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, because we're going to be up against the clock here pretty quickly. So Brian, could you just kind of pick some and let's throw it at the group?
Yeah, and feel free to chime in, go through here. So let me start with this. This one actually comes from C. So someone give a definition of digital media. I know it's cut and dry for many people, many places.
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Brian, you're breaking up.
It's incredibly choppy. I'm so sorry.
Okay, let me see if I can paraphrase it, Brian, if I can't. Can you give a simplified, help me out for a minute, a simplified definition of digital media? I know it's cut and dry for a lot of places, but for us, not so simple. Is that first question? Just a simple, how would you give a simplified definition of what you say digital media is?
I'm going to give it to Joe.
I don't want it.
It's good coming from your perspective.
The first thing I thought of, obviously, was anything that's not broadcast. It's digital.
Okay. Anything that's not broadcast would be digital.
It's so broad. I'm not sure you can paint it under one brush.
Okay,
and it's everything else is
okay. They're kind of communicating to me on this that this group said, can you clarify that Facebook is not just doing Facebook is not digital, just digital media? Fair?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's like you want to use multiple different formats of because there's different formats of digital. There's Facebook and social media digital. There's display digital. There's paid search on Google, and there's organic search on digital. There's all sorts of these different capabilities and products that you can use.
Right.
But at the end of the day, in its most simplest form, it's connecting people with businesses the way that the people want to be connected with. And guess what? Every single one of us, we have these dang smartphones in our holsters at all times. We're connected on our laptops, our desktops. I even get notifications from 10-Minute Trainer on my watch, letting me know that they've got new content for me to watch in there. It's like, how do these people want to be connected? You guys, as time progresses, as technology advances, you're adopting these things. So it's about making sure you can connect people with businesses the way that they want to be connected with. That's what digital is to me.
Good one.
Okay.
Anybody else want to take a stab
Yeah.
on that?
Well, it is, the one thing that I would say on that is something where we got to catch ourselves to really just use that word digital. It's like a carpenter saying, I'm going to use a tool.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? There are so many things you can do. And yeah, we all remember a few years ago when advertisers were coming in and saying, I'm canceling my radio and I'm going to go and do Facebook. I'm canceling my radio or TV and I'm going to do this. And, one of the things, I think Joe summed it up, it's just different ways to reach the audience in addition to your traditional media.
Well, and using your tool example and the toolbox, I like to look at as I'm a broadcast guy. If we look at radio, we look at broadcast television, we reach the masses, right? So allow us the opportunity to put your company, your product, your service on the radar screen. We're going to talk to the masses, but I got 30 to 60 seconds to get that done. I got 90 to 180 words. So now, how do we take that to a deeper, more involved, more personal relationship? Now you bring in digital. Now you allow that opportunity to go much deeper and further and faster.
And that's a good way. One thing to real quick on that, yeah, because your broadcast media, if you're a fisherman, that's your net.
Yeah.
That's your big net. And digital is your harpoon, where you can get spearfish. You can find the exact fish that you want. So working with those together, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah,
Wow,
absolutely.
That's a good one. Let's say, let me one more, and we heard the sirens coming by. I think they're coming to arrest Brandis back there.
Yeah, Brandis is right
I don't know
here.
if y'all heard the sirens. So this question came in from Illinois, and we all get this one, and so here you go. Do you recommend hiring sellers to sell across the board, broadcast and digital, or do you recommend just digital only sellers? I'm really curious, Brian and Kelly, with your companies there as well, and then from the panels. That question's from Illinois.
Can I answer first, Kelly? I think you got to get that out of your head. Like, I'm a radio seller, I'm a digital seller, whatever. You're in there to work with a client to help them solve their marketing needs. You're going in, and we do a lot with different sales trainers. Sandler training is one that we use, and it's you just ask the question of them. What do you want to achieve? Where's your pain? Tell us more about that. And if you get sellers that can do that, we got experts that can do the rest. Joe, it's not an expert to figure out what format radio station you need to be on. I want to reach people this age. We can take care of that. But it's getting those people who are that real diagnostic mindset where they can sit down, listen to the customer, find out what they want to achieve.
I think that's the biggest part of the transformation, is getting to that point of just really focusing on this as a media strategy. How do I build this plan? And then I've got all these different tools at my disposal. I've got broadcast, I've got all these other things, because we're all spending a little bit of time in a lot of different places. So we just have to help the sellers and our entire team understand that we're trying to figure out what are these best places for these businesses to connect with their customers. And I think for each business, creating that culture that nurtures that with their entire team, everybody's going to have to take that at a different approach. Not everybody's comp structure might be set up to go full-fledged and full force into that. They might need to make adjustments here or there. So, but I think as a whole, those have to be the conversations you're leading with at every level, regardless of kind of the nuances of, do you have broadcast sellers and then they have digital experts, or are you selling all of it? Everybody has to lead with the entry point of, I'm here to be a strategist to help you understand what's best for your business.
I think both of those answers were spot on and very strong. Kelly, it's good to see some Packers behind you because I'm stuck in Chiefs. Well, I'm in Chiefs land here, so go Packers. Ben, also with your entire group. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we go throw it to Brian for we've had several more questions. We're just up against it.
Yeah.
But listen, guys, thank you so much. Ben, Elizabeth, thank you. You're our presenting sponsors. We
Hey,
appreciate
Joe,
you
good to
guys.
see you as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Speed. Lady, let's go sell something.
There we go. There we go.
It's like a reunion here all of a sudden.
There we go.
Brian, let me throw it to you.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me okay. Is that better, Elizabeth? Okay,
Yes,
perfect. Okay. Sorry about that. I think my headphones were giving out there. But listen, we've had a lot of questions. Questions that folks almost feel guilty asking, right? I don't know what this acronym is. Is that okay? Or, it's okay, right? We understand that a lot of this is a foreign language to you. It's okay to Google it. It's okay not to know. The first step of that is just admitting, like, I don't know what that means. I don't know where to start. I don't know really what to talk to clients about. The thing I would prompt, right, on any of our trainers is reach out. Right, reach out, have a discussion. Obviously, a great place to start is just Google the term. Try to get it in its most simplistic form. Accelerant put together a ton of videos. It's on 10-Minute Trainer Network. So as long as you're here, right, you can click, you can learn about that. But I just wanted to give folks there's a lot of questions out there of, basic terms, acronyms. We get it, right? It's a new language for a lot of us, and so I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, and Elizabeth, we'll give you the last word as it relates to those comments with Brian. I think you'll agree with those, but we'll give you all the last word and then we'll roll.
Oh, dang. Well, this was such a pleasure. I just can't thank our panel enough. We've worked so closely with Brian and Kelly and now Joe, and they're just amazing. And we continue to learn from our partners as much as, they're learning from us in this digital space. This truly is where great minds connect. And it's a great way to do it in the digital space. So thank you, Speed and Swagger, 10-Minute Trainer. Excited for 2024. You know where to find us. If you have any questions, there is no silly question. Reach out to us, please, and have a great Rising Above. This has been a killer. I've said that word like 3 times. Killer agenda, like great speakers. I hope everyone's just been able to get as much out of it. But thank you again, and thank you to amazing panel.
Thank you all. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.